Alright, greetings, Outworlders, and welcome to the Madhouse. We are talking about Mortal Kombat! And this is our tier list discussion of all the games in the franchise, ranking them from best to worst. Now you might see, whoopsie, I already placed the first Mortal Kombat game, but I have to discuss where I'm going to put all these games in the first place. So Mortal Kombat, the original, not Mortal Kombat 1. I hate the naming convention there, what that MK1 did, but the first MK game is an average fighter. It's a very first game experience where, of course, you have your typical slides and special moves and sweeps and uppercuts that do massive amounts of damage. However, that being said, you could tell they were experimenting with a more methodical fighter at the time. You know, Street Fighter was a little bit more faster paced, and Mortal Kombat focused more on special moves and focusing more on high damage as a result when you hit someone really good. It's not as robust as a lot of the other successors of MK. I mean, you could even say on a technical level, there's a lot of other MK games that stomp this one. However, that being said, being the first start was not a bad start. There is a lot of fundamental value to this game, secrets, things to fight and, you know, find out, and it definitely set the groundwork for the entire series, but it is not advanced as the other games in the franchise, so I would have to put it at average at best, but definitely a fun pick up and play for sure. Mortal Kombat 2 rises from, you know, it's, I want to say it's decent to great, but I'm gonna say it's great. I had a lot of fun with this game. Definitely a lot more added to the roster with interesting characters like Jax, Baraka, Reptile, Melina, Katana as well. Just a lot of cool characters to play with and enjoy and see what is the depths of their nature within the world and with the combat in general. Like doing a force ball and doing a slide and uppercutting people is so cool and unique to see it in that game. It feels like the graphics look a little bit better, a lot more refined detail from what I noticed. Also more stages, interesting music. It's basically Mortal Kombat 1, but they're giving you more. They're giving you more with Mortal Kombat 2, and because of that, because there's this interesting plethora of additions to the game, I have to give it a higher rating. Again, cool, unique roster, better moves, and more to fuck around with. Hell yeah. Mortal Kombat 3. This is a very interesting game for several reasons. Number one on the list is the fact that, well, a lot of this game decided to go into a direction that I'm not really too fond of, where they cut out particular fighters that were pivotal to the roster at this point, like Scorpion. It's like, why the fuck would you do that? But the gameplay of MK3 is fun, and I'm glad they added that like run button in there where you could do like dial combos and just knock your opponent flat on their ass. It added a lot of speed to Mortal Kombat 3 in general, which was vastly needed. You could say the first two games are kind of like slower, methodical games, whereas Mortal Kombat 3 is like just fast paced and you're doing like fast combos, and I think it was a system that raised the bar over the initial games. But since this is vanilla Mortal Kombat 3 and it's lacking a lot, I have to put it in decent range, or maybe average. I don't know. Considering the insult of like ousting out Scorpion and additional characters, maybe it goes into average along with Mortal Kombat 1. I'm sorry, just Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is a much better experience. That's the true way to experience Mortal Kombat 3 in its finest form. And I would recommend that wholeheartedly, where they add in a bunch to play around with, and you have your systems that were added within Mortal Kombat 3, and you have so many secrets and some of the best music, in my opinion, within the series, subjectively speaking. Holy shit, what a great game, what a fantastic experience, just going robo smoke and going human smoke and going to town. That's the secrets that I really like to see. They really amplify that so much. Shao Kahn is a bitch, all right. There's no mistaking it. Shao Kahn is a bitch to fight in this mode too, but this is the Mortal Kombat that I have the most fondest memories of, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. A great game, a great addition, and I'm glad they decided to do the fix me edition with Ultimate and re-add all the characters. This is the content that you're looking for. What is next? Mortal Kombat 4. Now the only one I haven't played, no, I have played base Mortal Kombat 4, and I have played Mortal Kombat Gold. I'm gonna have to say I really didn't like Mortal Kombat 4, and I did not like Mortal Kombat Gold, and I'll tell you why. It feels like it's a more dumbed down Mortal Kombat 3, but the fundamentals and the mechanics are janky. I've played sessions of this game with the Infinite Ammo Syndicate, and I saw complete buffoonery. I'm talking motherfucking glitches and characters having their full health bar and falling down like they're dead in Mortal Kombat Gold. This game had technological problems, and it was prevalent throughout. I think the weapon system also did not work as well. I'm talking about like picking up a sword and shit, and it's all like this slow 5-second animation. You could throw them, of course. You could probably have like stupid fun with this game if you're not taking it seriously, but as a Mortal Kombat game, in terms of like just how they coordinated the fighting and everything, I think it fails on a lot of levels. I think it is an inferior Mortal Kombat 3. It is cool seeing some characters like Shinnok, and the character endings are some of the most hilarious shit you will ever see, with Jurek falling off the side of a cliff. I don't know how to explain. MK gibberish was like super great. It's like the most funniest thing in the world, but still, I'm just laughing so fucking hard at that. But still, it's a game that I don't think is going to last on fundamentals. After you played it so much, you're gonna be tired of like shit whiffing and combat really not making any sense, and glitches and random bugs, especially in Gold. I did not like Mortal Kombat 4 that much at all, outside of like some small merits here or there, really. Next, let's move on to a game I haven't played. Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I've heard the ghost stories of Mortal Kombat Special Forces. I heard people tear this game apart. They said it was a living nightmare. It made no sense. One of the worst spin-offs of MK history. Obviously, when I get around to it, I'll get around to it. It was cool seeing like certain findings like Tremor in this game, and how all of that started, and seeing particular members of Black Dragon come into fruition. That was like at least one of the cooler notions. I heard that this game was supposed to have co-op as well with Sonya Blade, but that never really panned out. Maybe that would have increased the fun factor just a little bit. That being said, I have not touched it personally. I never played it at a kiosk or a friend's house or anything. I didn't even know anyone who owned this game. I knew someone who owned Mortal Kombat 4 well before they fucking even touched Special Forces, and that guy hated Special Forces with a passion. So I was wondering, like, what is the deal? What is the hubbub? Why is this game so bad to people? And I guess the only way to see is to find out for myself. Until then, it sits where it belongs. Now here's a game I have played, which is Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Shaolin Monks is a co-op experience with Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and you're going around beating people up and witnessing the Mortal Kombat lore, and I put it in the best category. Why is this one of the best MK games? Well, for starters, it's the only MK spinoff that I know of that is absolutely astounding. I'm talking from top to bottom. They really refined the mechanics. You can do these like weird quad kills, mortalities where you can like slice people into confetti. They really took a lot into consideration. The fatalities are as brutal as ever. They have a mode where you can play with people and fight them like duel, with the settings of the co-op environment just used as competitive. This is a game that really worked out super well for all intents and purposes. Even there's like a version of Mortal Kombat 2 on here that you could play. And I used to love stuff like that all the time. A game within a game. Games don't do that anymore. It's like, hey, here, pay for this full-blown remake and any incentives. Well, no, we're not gonna bundle that in. So I'm kind of glad they thought about that, actually. It's just as good as it gets. I cannot recommend enough people playing Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, because it's probably the best co-op experience, one of the best co-op experiences you will get on the PlayStation 2 back then. It's just I don't know what else to say about this game other than glazing it. Obviously, I have to glaze the fuck out of that game because it's so great. What's next? The Mortal Kombat Trilogy. This is basically Mortal Kombat 3, but you can play as everybody to that point from MK1, MK2, and MK3. So it's essentially like a more enhanced Ultimate Edition, and outside of like some issues of the loading times, I would say this is a good package overall, because sometimes it will load like crazy when spawning in either Shang Tsung or just loading stages in general, and that's kind of like, it's a little bit detrimental, but I would put it in the great category because Mortal Kombat Trilogy just offers up a lot. It brings all the characters back. The only issue that I probably have outside of that, loading times, is you play as boss characters and it can make it a little bit unbalanced, but it's whatever. It's just a great package overall. It's a great addition, great updates, and I have so many fond memories of it. I just have to put it where it is. All right, now we're getting into, all right, I'm gonna rank Mortal Kombat 1. I'm gonna try to decide where to put this because, man, it's interesting with this game. So this game started out like really strong for me. Then it got a little rough because I didn't like the fact that they changed rank. I'm talking like, why would you change it from 1st to 3? I don't fucking understand that shit. Why would you do that? Like 1st to 2 and MK1 is awful. Then there was a lot of missing features as well, lobbies and everything, but the game is shaping up very, very nicely. It's just disappointing that it took a while to get there. Like, how did we get to this point? We needed that content on disc at launch, and that could be seen as disappointing, but it's like a fuck you, love you scenario where it's like, now it's really fun to play. Air Max fun to play. The updates are making the game better. I'm having an enjoyable time with it overall. I haven't quite touched the campaign yet, but I played numerous amounts of the online portion, and the combat feels it feels like it harkens back to Mortal Kombat 9, where things were obviously within that paradigm, but they're adding in systems like, of course, you know, you got breakers now, and the breakers are cool to get you out of a jam. I wish it was more than one, maybe two, but that's just me. It's a gem to play. Extensive fundamental combos. They didn't do that thing where it's like Mortal Kombat 11, they decided to make the combos within a shorter window, a shorter span of time, where they're not like these super intricate combos you would see in Mortal Kombat 1 or Mortal Kombat X. So they dumbed that down just a bit, because it caters to the nature of that game. That being said, MK1 will go in the decent category. If I was ranking it, we'll just use Mortal Kombat Armageddon as an example. It goes in a decent ranking right here. So this is MK1 in a nutshell. Great game, great graphics, but it doesn't ascend to the higher echelon of Mortal Kombat, mostly due to the neglected content. I don't think that invasions, and I don't think that the story mode itself, being its 10-hour 15-hour epic, I don't think that's enough to justify the previous unlockables that Ed Boon used to do, the copious amounts of minigames. People enjoyed that shit. I love a great story that sucks me in, obviously, and that's what the NRS games try to focus on, is this grandiose plot. But it feels like content was sacrificed in the midst of doing that, and Invasions just really isn't doing it for me. So this is a decent game at best. Now we're gonna rank Mortal Kombat Armageddon. Actually, this is the 3D era where they tried to cap it off with including a barrage of all the characters to that point. So once again, it feels like this is the 3D era's Mortal Kombat trilogy in a nutshell. It really does feel like that. It's like, this is the end of an era, let's go out with a bang. They introduced things that did not work, like the creative fatality scenario, where you're just doing these weird random inputs, but you finish off the opponent through a combo string. It's kind of like a brutality almost, and you're clicking the button until they're dead. This system is very cumbersome. I did not like it at all. Well, I wouldn't say cumbersome, actually. I would just say lackluster, actually, as a better word. Excuse me. Very lackluster in comparison to just a cinematic fatality to see. That's cool. That will finish someone off, as opposed to just mashing the button until they're dead. I didn't like that at all. I don't think that was a great replacement. It's cool they had Create a Fighter. You can make your own dream Mortal Kombat combatant, and I was making like my own like spirit soldier, or using like certain like move sets and abilities, and I thought that was fun. That increased the replay value for me in particular, along with the large list of roster like characters, and also having conquests in here as well. And I thought that was a fun little actiony adventure compared to the last conquest. However, this game does have a bit of fundamental flaws to it. They also decided to take away a lot more than add with some of the things that they implemented in this game. I believe that, people had two styles. Now it merged into, people had multiple styles in Deception and the other game, and they decided to dumb that down just a little bit, but I can see why, because the big roster of characters. It's an average game at best. No, I'm gonna say it's decent. I'm actually gonna say it's decent. I'm gonna change my opinion on the spot and say that it's a decent experience, because they offer you quite a bit, but the gameplay fundamentals just kind of, it's like a con almost. It's like I want to put this game higher, but I can't put it any higher than decent. Next up is God, every time I do these videos, these tier list discussions, I keep forgetting I severely need to take a water break, so I will be right back to finish off the video. Hold on a second. All right, pimpin', we are back. We are fresh and relaxed. That didn't take too long. Shit, it's like, damn it, my voice is dying, bro. I need water bad. Let's see, Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. This is another spin-off game. I don't know where to put this one. I have played it. Ooh, it's kind of janky. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's just kind of in the middle. Cause I'm talking, dude, the game is astronomically hilarious with some of the cutscenes and some of the shit that you do, and it's funny that here it's like you can see the origins of Sub-Zero, Bihan, and it's not a bad premise at all. You can rip off like Scorpius head. You can see the foundations of the story before the first Mortal Kombat tournament. I think it would be well executed in nature if it was remade, because there's a lot going on. Like, you can make a Shaolin monk style Mortal Kombat mythology Sub-Zero, and I know I'm spitballing with a wish list here, but it feels like that's a much better idea in concept to what we got. They have these weird platforming stages where you can fall off and just your dick falls into the ozone layer because the game is designed this way, and it's weird in motion. It feels like an MK platformer with the mechanics and camera and models of old MK just doesn't work out too well. You're gonna be falling in the shit, and they do this whole you know, something swing in 3D, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint where to land exactly. Some of the boss fights are cool looking, albeit a little bit strange, especially the Fujin one, but still, this is a game that was executed better on paper than the actual content itself. So I'm gonna say this is an average game at best. Not really something I would go back to fundamentally, like all of the time, 24/7. Unlike that Shaolin Monks, baby. Shaolin Monks is fucking coom to that game. That game is amazing. Mortal Kombat 9, you know where it's going. It's one of the better Mortal Kombat's retellings for sure. It is a great game, a great experience. They really went back to the drawing board and say, hey, this is what worked. This is not what is working with the previous establishment of Mortal Kombat versus DC. And personally, I think it was fundamental to go back to a back to basics fighter where you're mostly enhancing the mechanics for a new era, because one of the major complaints about the 2D Mortal Kombat games is that people felt like it wasn't mechanically sound, like it was just very basic bitch at best, and it couldn't rise to the level of Street Fighter. So this time they decided to take that competitive word seriously, and it feels like this is the start of the more refined and super well done competitive MK games, where it's like you have your block strings combos and you have your grabs and you know, you have your 50-50s and whatnot that you can do. All of those refined fighting game mechanics that are placed in Mortal Kombat started with this game in particular, in terms of how they coordinated it. Like, they really took everything seriously, overhauled it, and it's very enjoyable from the outset. Of course, naturally speaking, only Mortal Kombat's got better with the next iteration that we're gonna talk about. I thought the story was fine. I thought it was dope. I thought the content was fine. Challenge towers that you had. What is the thing where you have to, I didn't like the reward in Mortal Kombat 9 because you had to go and get Melina's flesh pit outfit, which is like, I don't know if like people want to be down bad over Miss Monster Mouth Girl, and when she gives a blowjob you will lose your Johnson. I mean, that's fine, but I didn't like flesh pits Melina's not my favorite in general anyway. It's Jade is like much better on Mortal Kombat females. Am I diverging? I'm diverging. I'm fucking diverging. Why the fuck am I diverging? No, I'm just kidding. But still, tons of secrets, everything that I loved. Just, it's a great, it's one of the better ones if you can find it. Unfortunately, it is delisted. Mortal Kombat 9 is delisted across the board. Goddamn, but pick it up. Find a physical copy if you can, and I'm sure, because Freddy Krueger, like, god damn it, Freddy, yeah, fucked it. You fucked it all up. But even the DLC characters were cool, like Rain, Freddy, who else? Scarlet. Scarlet's like first introduction here. God damn. But yeah, I would say go for that immediately. And another Mortal Kombat game that is going in best is Mortal Kombat X, or Mortal Kombat XL, which is for XL Whopper Whopper. All right, this double cheeseburger of a mammoth. What can you really say about Mortal Kombat X that hasn't been said already? Big refinements on a lot of the base mechanics of Mortal Kombat 9, adding in features, making it faster. Now it's a run button, and only serving to create more to that additional and ferocious content that was in Mortal Kombat 9. Like, I love the fact that they decided to do this thing with the timeline where it's like now we're focusing on the future events, and characters might have had kids or something, or the new roster is just full of either combat kids or variations of differing people, and they tried to get very experimental with keeping some of the old and blending in the new, which is probably one of the best things they could ever do for a fighting game roster. This is how you do it, as opposed to excluding the old cast in general and leaving them to rot. I don't like when fighting games do that. The only one that made sense and never did it, and even they still have old characters, is Tekken 3. And this one just felt like a celebration of Mortal Kombat old and new and trying something different. And there's a few new characters I like Takeda. The Cassie Cage was cool. Kung Jin I liked, actually. I used to main Kung Jin. So this is an ancestral Mortal Kombat of the ages, and I hope they do a game like this again with the next Mortal Kombat after Mortal Kombat 1. Huge just hit to me overall. Of course, naturally speaking, the story is still amazing. The content with the towers, I kind of wish they did a little bit more with. This is where like some stuff like kind of slightly regressed on content, but it's still a lot to do in Mortal Kombat X. And I guess maybe one of the minor nitpicks I have with that game is it could be a little bit more colorful. This is where like the colors were like drab and a little bit dull in some areas, but it's not enough to knock this game down from greatness. We got 4 more games to go, people. Let's do it. Mortal Kombat 11. I know this is gonna be controversial. I'm gonna put it in the great category. All right, listen to me. Listen. I have like almost an insane amount of hours in Mortal Kombat 11. I see so many people shitting on this game, like absolutely destroying it, hating it, saying that it's the worst in the NRS era of Mortal Kombat. It's the worst game they ever did. I respectfully disagree. I believe that MK11 was a fine addition to what Mortal Kombat was. You know, regardless of what you feel about the plot, I think the gameplay works. You know, they might have strove for simplicity's sake with the combos and everything, but I still like rather liked it. The only thing that kind of knocks it from greatness and being like the best of the best, despite being a great game, is the fact that the stupid fatal blows, the fatal blows, crushing blows, the crushing blows get on my nerves. I just can't deal with it. The fact that people will do just crazy, insane, linked up damage and these setups, and it's just like, well, I lost the match, it's over. Other than that though, and I was an MK champion in this game still, like, you know, you gotta get with the program, but it's one of the systems I did not like. That being said, they tried to make this a lot more mechanical roles and everything, evasive strategies, which I do kind of miss. Like, they made Mortal Kombat 1 a bit more basic in those regards. A bigger expansive gear system, so if you care about cosmetics and how your character looks, there's that in the game, along with the campaign. And I feel iffy about the towers at best. Definitely it's not the best piece of content. I had towers where Frost had like fatal blow all the fucking time, and I got hit by him and it was annoyed, but still, the core fundamentals of this game and the characters presented were rather awesome, and it was enough to keep me playing for like so many hours. It's unbelievable. I don't think that MK11 is a bad MK game at all compared to like some of the others, especially 4. 4 is still the worst as you can see on this list, buddy. You know, it again, there was some issues and critique levied at the storyline, and that's because of time travel. I think time travel storylines, if you're not the fucking Terminator, time travel storylines is, if you're not Terminator or Back to the Future, time travel is going to be a hit or miss in terms of storytelling, because it's so many inconsistencies that you can make with time travel alone that it's very difficult to see a well-written time travel story in the modern age. I'm sorry, that's just how it feels to me, and I figured they would stumble into a pitfall there from what people are saying. Overall though, I liked MK11. I'm sorry, I really like that game. I never played MK versus DC Universe. While it is a very nice little concept, I'm kind of glad they branched off and splintered and made Injustice its own thing, so Ed Boon can experiment with the DC characters over there, and in Mortal Kombat, where it needs to be bloody, gory, and spectacular, and you need to rip people's heads off and tear people's throats out. I never liked the idea of the MK and DC Universe thing where they have to nerf and dumb down the Mortal Kombat characters, and there can't be gore because you can't just rip off Batman's head without DC having a problem with it. It's like, okay, all right then, heroic brutalities where Superman just punches someone in the air, or if a villain does a fatality like the Joker, it's censored. It just, in terms of Mortal Kombat itself, it could be like a fun on a Tuesday game where you play it and you have some enjoyment from it, but it doesn't work with the scenario of how Mortal Kombat is coordinated. And because DC feels the way that it feels, you can't blend the two together whatsoever. That's why I'm glad they split them apart, like splitting them up. It's like, you know, a little breakup, but everyone's fine at the end of the day because they're at their own respective franchises, and they're doing well. They're doing well with them. Next, we have the final 2 Mortal Kombat experiences. And we're gonna put Deadly Alliance right there. This is the base starter Mortal Kombat 2D game where obviously it doesn't have like super refined mechanics, and it also does not have like a lot of content compared to Armageddon, but it's still a decent starter game. So I would say they're of comparable level for differing reasons. Armageddon has all of the content, but it also kind of flubs in a lot of ways with its content and creativity, but it has a jam-packed roster to play with, whereas Deadly Alliance lacks a lot of content, and in comparison to like Armageddon, but it is still like super fun to play. It was the super fun starter MK game for the 3D era, and I enjoyed it. Obviously, compared to the competitive Mortal Kombat, it's janky now, seeing characters float around and do ridiculously stupid shit. But it's still the story though, I'm gonna have to say one of the reasons that I liked this game was the story had balls. They decided to kill Liu Kang, the Mortal Kombat champion. You have Quan Chi and Shang Tsung, and they literally just ganked this man right there. They break his neck. I'm talking like this is the most interesting MK story. They decided to kill the main character and said, fuck this, we're gonna have these new antagonists rise, and it led way to what I think was an interesting part of the timeline for sure. Deadly Alliance, man, don't sleep on it. I would say it's definitely worth playing, decent game. And we have Mortal Kombat Deception. everything that you could think of from the previous game and more. A perfect balance of everything. Cool intricate characters, cool mini games, chess combat, puzzle combat, fucking conquest in this mode, an interesting story with the rise of Unaga. You had it all with Mortal Kombat Deception, and it was done better and coordinated better, I feel, than Armageddon was. Even though Armageddon also had an equally fun like conquest that was more action adventure, but this one is like all in depth, like changes the world, the universe of Mortal Kombat, where you can go around in this free world and explore the realms. Like that was cooler. You had more room to breathe and just take in the sights and do fights, and it felt fun. It was so fun and adventurous. Deception is one of the GOATs, and I don't think I could ever take it away from this game. You know, just the way that they coordinated and did things. And I also think that game was the introduction of the stage transitions and more stage fatalities and hazards being introduced, because I don't think they were in Deadly Alliance, but correct me if wrong. Either way, that is my list of Mortal Kombat. And now they're all officially ranked and conquered. What do you guys think of this list? Tell me your own list of favorite Mortal Kombat games over the years. Comment below and let me know. And as always, take care of yourselves. See you later. And don't let all this rain get you sick, because it's raining like fucking the East Coast. Later.